Have you ever been asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's a very common question that I heard in my childhood. Growing up with immigrant parents who didn't really have a lot when I was little, they stressed to me the importance of having financial freedom and pursuing a career that was safe and that could support a family in the long term. From a very early age, I took that advice to heart, and for the longest time, I had it ingrained in my head ever since I was a little child that I wanted to become a doctor. It was something that my parents were proud of, something that I thought was super interesting, and so I embarked on this journey with this idea in my head that I would become a physician at some point in my life. Spoiler alert, I am not a doctor. The purpose of this video is not to brag about where I went, what I accomplished. It's not to discourage anyone from pursuing their dreams of becoming a doctor. It's more so just to normalize and to provide a new perspective on how life can pull you in different directions and how it's completely okay to change your path. Here's what I learned along the way in really finding what I enjoy and who I am as a person as well. So throughout high school, I did the normal classes. I took AP classes, tried to maximize my academic rigor, wanting to prove to universities that I was intellectually adept and had interests outside the classroom as well. When I was in high school, I still had the idea that I wanted to become a physician. I decided that I wanted to be pre-med at the university that I would be attending. Before I knew it, time flew by, graduated high school, and I was off to university where I was lucky enough to attend Yale for my undergrad. Being someone that didn't grow up with a lot of wealth, didn't really attend any private schools, and who oftentimes struggled to find resources and really scrapped his way through to learning as much as he could, I was intimidated about going to Yale for undergrad. When you compound that along with being pre-med, the pre-medical classes and the rigor of the courses, in addition to how competitive my classmates were, it certainly was not an easy feat to do while at Yale. With that being said, I thoroughly enjoyed my time. I loved the biological science courses. I loved volunteering. I never would have imagined that my peers that I met throughout my classes and just grinding away at homework problems, problem sets, and projects, I really formed an awesome community with these people. So before I knew it, time flew by again. It was my 4th year at Yale, and lo and behold, I had finished all of my pre-medical classes. I was going to be graduating with my Bachelor's of Science degree, and throughout the entire process, I didn't really actively think that much about what I really wanted to do with my future. The future path, it kind of just paved itself through everything that I was doing. Little did I know it was the spring of my senior year, and something called COVID, or the pandemic, happened. And it really brought a new perspective into my eyes as to how fragile life and time really is. So post-Yale, I told myself that I would take a gap year in order to study for the MCAT exam, as that was the last prereq in order for me to apply to medical school. So I had already done all the classes, had already excelled in all of those, already did my research, actually even asked all of my professors for recommendation letters, had all of that compiled, even wrote all of my personal statements, all of the medical school specific statements, still have them stored somewhere in a dusty hard drive. Last thing was to conquer the MCAT, and then I'd be on my way. Little did I know that gap year would ultimately change my life. Being that I wanted to stay somewhat within the healthcare field, my junior year I decided to apply to a bunch of healthcare consulting and healthcare tech companies in order to get more experience on the business side. From a very young age, I've always seen my parents hustle and grind, and I realized that I also had somewhat of a business acumen. It goes all the way back to when I was in middle school. I used to make paracord bracelets. I don't know if you guys remember what those are, but I used to actually buy the clasps. I used to buy the paracord itself, learn how to braid the bracelets themselves. I'd package them, then I'd put them in my mother's store, and she had them on the tiniest booth for anyone who was willing to purchase them. That business was an ultimate failure because I think we only had 1 or 2 customers, but I guarantee you those paracord bracelets that were picked up, they were built to last. I put a lot of effort into those. So as you can see, I've always had a lot of different interests, but for the most part have been pretty focused on becoming a physician, doing the pre-med track. I ultimately got a job offer after my senior year to work for a healthcare tech company, and I stayed with them actually for almost 2 years. During that time period, I learned a lot about myself, I learned a lot about the healthcare industry, and I thought really deep and hard about what it was that I really wanted to do for the rest of my life. It's something that's really difficult to think about, especially when we live in a society where so much is happening all the time. It's really hard to slow down, really hard to sit down, clear your thoughts, and to really think about what you want to do. For me, during the pandemic, it was the perfect time for me to really think about all of that because Nothing really was happening. I wasn't able to go to the gym, wasn't able to socialize. It was just me with my thoughts and with my family. As I began working in the healthcare tech industry, it sounds kind of cliche, but I started realizing that there were many different ways to make an impact and to make change on people. For me, I realized I didn't need to become a physician. I didn't need to become a provider. I didn't need to offer direct patient care in order to make a difference in this world and to try to make a positive impact on others. I realized that I was very, very interested in the business side and the tech side of healthcare, and to this day, I'm still loving my journey. The purpose of this video is not to brag about where I went, what I accomplished. It's not to discourage anyone from pursuing their dreams of becoming a doctor. It's more so just to normalize and to provide a new perspective on how life can pull you in different directions and how it's completely okay to change your path. So we come back to that age-old question that you probably were asked when you were a little child. What is it that you want to be when you grow up? And honestly, I think a very fair answer is, I don't know. There's so much out there that you don't know if you like or that you enjoy until you actually get to work in it and try it. And oftentimes, it takes over a year of time for you to really understand if it's something that you enjoy doing. My piece of advice here is, don't close off any doors, keep a very open mind, and just try as many things as you can as early on as possible so that you have a much better idea when you grow up as to things that you definitely do not want to do. Narrowing out what you don't want to do is so much more helpful than thinking about all the things that you may want to do. It makes the process a lot less intimidating, and it helps you focus on the things that you enjoy. Thank you for listening to my spiel. I know this video is a little bit different from other ones I've created, but thought it would be cool to just share some real thoughts and some reflections on where I've come from and where I am in my journey. Please comment below your thoughts, where you are in your journey, and if you have any questions. I'll try to respond to any comments that have been posted within the first 48 hours. I've had so much fun with you two so far, so thank you all for your support as always. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.